The Silent Wisdom, Lessons from the Ancient Paths, Part 1. Chapter 1, The Myth of the Vertical Climb. In the modern world, we are conditioned to believe that life is a ladder. We are told that success is vertical, a constant, exhausting climb toward a peak that always seems to recede the closer we get. We measure our worth by the floor number of our office, the digit in our bank account, and the speed of our internet connection. We have become a civilization of climbers, breathless and anxious, terrified of looking down and even more terrified of standing still. But as I steer my motorbike through the waking breath of a northern Vietnamese village, the vertical world begins to dissolve. Here, life is horizontal. It doesn't climb, it spreads. It doesn't compete with the sky. It embraces the earth. The first lesson this landscape whispered to me is this: the climb is a myth. We spend our best years chasing a version of success that requires us to sacrifice our presence. We trade our now for a someday that may never arrive. But look at the elders sitting on their porch as I ride by. They are not waiting for a promotion. They are not checking their notifications. They are watching the sunlight hit the dew on a taro leaf. True success is not the height of your climb, but the depth of your presence. It is the ability to sit in the stillness and not feel the urge to escape it. In the West, we have time management, but here they have time appreciation. One is about squeezing life dry. The other is about letting life soak into your bones. If you gain the whole world but lose the ability to feel the wind on your face or the smell of rain on dry earth, have you really succeeded? Or have you just become a very wealthy prisoner of your own ambition?
Chapter 2. The Tao of the Rice Fields, the Strength in Waiting. As I ride further into the valley, the emerald green of the young rice paddy stretches toward the horizon. There is a profound geometry here, a sacred order that has remained unchanged for 1,000 years. In our culture of instant everything, we have forgotten the most fundamental law of nature, the law of the season. We want our businesses to scale in months. We want our bodies to transform in weeks. We want our wounds to heal in days. We have become a microwave society, expecting the harvest before we even finish the planting. But the rice field does not care about your deadlines. It does not care about your quarterly goals or your 5-year plan. A rice stalk grows at its own pace. If you try to pull it upward to make it grow faster, you kill it. If you deprive it of the mud and the dirty water, it withers. It needs the heat of the tropical sun just as much as it needs the drenching rain. This is the second lesson of the village. Patience is not passive waiting, it is active endurance. Success in the countryside is a slow accumulation of small, invisible changes. For weeks, it looks like nothing is happening. The farmer sows, the water flows, the sun beats down. To the untrained eye, it is a landscape of stagnation. But beneath the surface, roots are reaching deep into the dark soil, anchoring themselves for the storm. We often confuse activity with progress. We think that if we aren't busy, we aren't moving. But the rice field teaches us that some of the most important growth happens in total silence, away from the eyes of the world. Do not be ashamed of your quiet seasons. Do not be afraid of the times when it feels like you are standing still. You are not stuck. You are rooting. The most successful people I have met in these villages are not the ones who work the fastest, but the ones who understood the rhythm of the earth. They know when to sweat and when to sit under the banyan tree. They know that you cannot force the spring, and you cannot avoid the winter. Success is knowing that you are exactly where you need to be in the cycle of your life. Chapter 3. The Geometry of the Village Path, the Art of Flow. Look closely at the path beneath my wheels. In the modern world, we are obsessed with the straight line. We build highways that cut through mountains and gridlocked cities that box us in. We are taught that the shortest distance between 2 points is a straight line, and we apply this cold geometry to our lives, our careers, and our dreams. We want to go from A to B as fast as possible, ignoring everything in between. But these village paths were not designed by engineers with rulers. They were carved by 1,000 years of human footsteps. They respect the land. They curve gently around an ancient banyan tree. They hug the edge of a lotus pond. They bow to the family altars and bend to accommodate the flow of a small stream. They do not fight the landscape. They dance with it. The third lesson of the countryside is the art of flow. Most of our stress comes from trying to force a straight line through a curved world. We create rigid 5-year plans and then suffer when life throws a curveball. We think that if we hit an obstacle, we must smash through it. But the village path teaches us a softer, more enduring power, resilience through flexibility. When you encounter a wall, you don't have to break it. You can simply walk around it. When the road becomes muddy after a monsoon rain, you don't curse the sky. You slow your pace and find the firmest ground. Success is not about being the strongest rock. It is about being the river. The rock can be shattered by a hammer, but the river simply flows around the hammer and keeps moving toward the ocean. As I navigate these turns, I realize that the detours are often where the beauty is hidden. The straight highway offers speed, but the winding path offers life. Are you so focused on the destination that you've forgotten how to enjoy the turn? True success is the ability to stay on your course without losing your soul to the speed. Chapter 4. The Minimalism of the Soul. Enough is a feast. We have been sold a lie that more is always better. More followers, more square footage, more gadgets, more noise. We clutter our homes and our minds to hide a growing emptiness. We have become a generation of collectors, yet we feel more hollow than ever. Step into a traditional northern Vietnamese home. What do you see? High ceilings to let the air breathe. A simple wooden bed, a ceramic teapot, an altar for the ancestors. There is space, there is shadow, there is silence. The fourth lesson is the minimalism of the soul. In the West, we have interior design, but here they have interior peace. The farmer doesn't need 1,000 things to feel successful. He needs a harvest that feeds his family, a roof that keeps out the rain, and a community that knows his name. He understands a secret that the modern world has forgotten. Enough is not a number. It is a state of mind. When you realize that you already have what you need, you become dangerous to the system that wants you to be a perpetual consumer. You become free. Success is the ability to sit in a quiet room with a simple cup of tea and not feel the itch to check your phone or buy something new. We think we are working hard to buy comfort, but often we are just buying distractions from ourselves. The countryside strips away the excess. It forces you to look at the sky, at the dirt, and at your own reflection in a bucket of well water. It teaches you that a life of less is actually a life of more time, more clarity, and more room for the things that actually matter. If you are constantly chasing the next thing, you are not successful. You are just a hamster on a gold-plated wheel. True wealth is wanting exactly what you have at this very moment. Chapter 5. The Soul of the Harvest. Success is a common language. In the glass and steel cities of the West, we have built a world of isolated boxes. We live behind locked doors, we commute in private cars, and we stare at personal screens. We are the most connected generation in history, yet we are the loneliest. Our success is a solitary trophy, a private achievement that often leaves us standing alone at the top of a mountain of things. But as I stop my bike near a communal harvest, I see a different architecture of life. Here, success is not an I statement. It is a we story. The fifth lesson of the countryside is the power of communion. A farmer's success is not measured by his individual yield, but by the strength of his neighbors. When the storm clouds gather over the Red River Delta, no one asks, "Oh, is my rice safe?" They ask. "Is our village ready?" They work until their backs ache, not for a bonus or a promotion, but because they understand a fundamental truth. No one survives alone. In our modern pursuit of independence, we have forgotten the beauty of interdependence. We think that needing others is a sign of weakness, but in the village, needing others is the thread that weaves the fabric of a meaningful life. True power is not how many people work for you, but how many people would stand with you in the mud when the rain starts falling. Ask yourself, if you lost everything tomorrow, your job, your titles, your digital footprint, who would still know your name? Success is not a private bank account. It is the depth of your roots in the hearts of others. Chapter 6. The Dignity of the Cracked Brick. Wabi-sabi in the East. We are obsessed with new iPhones, new cars, new faces filtered to perfection. We have been brainwashed to believe that anything broken, aged, or imperfect is a failure. We hide our scars, we edit our flaws, and we live in a constant, anxious state of trying to be flawless. But look at the gates of these ancient temples. Look at the cracked clay of the sun-dried road. Look at the warped wood of the old carts that have carried 1,000 harvests. There is a profound, quiet dignity here. The sixth lesson is the wisdom of the imperfect. In the East, we find beauty in the weathered. We see the history in a scar. A brick is not just a brick. It is a witness to 100 monsoons. A wrinkle on an elder's face is not a flaw to be erased. It is a map of a life well lived. This is the art of finding perfection in the imperfect, the realization that nothing is finished, nothing is perfect, and nothing lasts forever. Modern success tells us to be perfect. The village tells us to be real. When you stop trying to be a polished diamond and allow yourself to be a raw stone, the weight of the world lifts off your shoulders. You realize that your cracks are not failures. They are the places where the light gets in. You are not a machine that needs to be upgraded. You are a living soul that is allowed to age, to change, and to carry the beautiful marks of the journey. Success is not about having a perfect life. It is about having a meaningful one, scars and all. Chapter 7. The mastery of the mundane. The zen of small things. We have been conditioned to believe that life is only happening during the big moments. The graduation, the promotion, the wedding, the grand vacation. We spend 99% of our lives waiting for that 1% of climax, treating the rest as a boring chore to be endured. We are living for the weekend, living for the retirement, living for the next big thing. But as I watch an old woman in the village sweep her dirt courtyard, I see a different mastery. She is not rushing to finish. She is not thinking about a podcast or a deadline. She is simply sweeping. The swish of the bamboo broom is her symphony. The dust in the sunlight is her audience. The seventh lesson of the countryside is the mastery of the mundane. In the modern world, we call this mindfulness, and we pay thousands of dollars for retreats to learn it. But here, it is just living. Success is the ability to find a sacred quality in the ordinary. If you cannot find peace in the way you wash your dishes, you will not find it in a private jet. If you cannot feel the joy of the morning air as you walk to your bike, you will not feel it when you walk onto a stage to receive an award. True success is not doing extraordinary things. It is doing ordinary things with extraordinary presence. It is the realization that the mundane is where life actually happens. When you stop treating your daily tasks as obstacles to your real life, you discover that your life has been happening all along. Every breath is a harvest. Every step is a destination. Chapter 8. The Ego and the Great Open, the Gift of Smallness. Our modern suffering is largely a crisis of the self. We are the stars of our own digital movies. We obsess over our brand, our image, and our legacy. We carry the weight of the entire world on our shoulders, believing that we are the center of the universe. This ego is a heavy backpack, and it makes the journey of life exhausting. But stand in the middle of a golden rice field as the sun dips below the horizon. Look at the thousands of stalks of grain swaying in the wind. Look at the vast, uncaring beauty of the mountain range in the distance. Suddenly, you feel very, very small. The eighth lesson is the gift of smallness. In the West, being small is seen as a failure. We want to be big, impactful, and legendary. But in the countryside, being small is a liberation. When you realize that you are just a leaf on an ancient tree, a single drop in a flowing river, a brief flash in the long history of this soil, the burden of success disappears. You don't have to save the world today. You don't have to be the best. You don't have to be remembered forever. You are allowed to just be. This smallness doesn't mean you are insignificant. It means you are part of something much larger than yourself. It is the death of the ego and the birth of freedom. When you shrink your ego, you expand your soul. You no longer need to conquer life. You simply participate in it. Success is the moment you realize the world doesn't revolve around you, and you feel an immense, quiet relief because of it. Chapter 9. The Loudest Message. The Power of Silence. We live in a world that is terrified of silence. We fill every gap with noise podcasts, music, notifications, or our own internal monologue of what's next. We think that if we aren't talking or doing or consuming, we are wasting time. In the West, silence is often awkward. It's a void that must be filled. We have become a civilization of broadcasters, shouting into the digital wind, desperate to be heard. But as the sun dips below the horizon in this quiet corner of northern Vietnam, I realize that silence is not an absence. It is a presence. It is a language of its own. The ninth lesson of the countryside is the power of silence. Here, the farmers can sit together for an hour, sharing a pot of tea, and barely say a word. They aren't bored. They are being. They understand that the most important messages are not spoken. They are felt. The silence of the fields tells you about the coming rain. The silence of the old house tells you about the generations who lived there. The silence of your own mind tells you who you actually are. Most of our success is built on noise, on self-promotion, and constant communication. But true wisdom is built in the quiet. In the silence, the self stops performing and starts listening. You realize that you don't need to explain yourself to the world. You don't need to justify your existence with a busy calendar. Success is the ability to sit in total stillness and not feel the urge to escape it. Silence is the ultimate luxury. It is where your intuition finally finds the space to speak. If you can master the silence, you can master anything. Chapter 10. The Return Journey Carrying the Village Went. Within my journey through these ancient paths is coming to an end, but the lessons are just beginning to take root. As I steer my bike back toward the lights of the city, I realize a final truth. Success is not a destination you reach and stay at. It is the quality of the journey back to yourself. You don't need to move to a remote village in Vietnam to find peace. You don't need to quit your job or leave your modern life behind. The countryside is not just a place on a map. It is a frequency of the soul. The 10th and final lesson is to carry the village within. Take the patience of the rice field into your board meetings. Take the flexibility of the winding path into your personal relationships. Take the minimalism of the village house into your cluttered mind. And most importantly, take the silence of the twilight into your loudest days. True success is being able to move at 100 miles per hour in the world while staying perfectly still on the inside. It's being a high achiever with the heart of a slow liver. As the road ahead stretches out, I know the noise will return. The deadlines will scream, the city will roar, and the ego will try to climb again. But now, I have a secret. I have the rhythm of the harvest in my blood and the stillness of the temple in my breath. Thank you for riding with me. May you find your own village wherever you are. May your success be as deep as these roots and as quiet as this night.